Hello, hello. Let me do a quick check-in with Mike, the life and was it the life and times or the life of Michael Armstrong, Factory Boy, which starts off with a really interesting opening opening preface, which is to say this book was supposed to be two parts. One, which was the childhood of Michael Armstrong, Factory Boy, and the horrible conditions that he lives under, and the part two was supposed to be what kind of political aims he then took up to try and fight against the deplorable conditions. This is a 1840 work. We're in the midst of the Industrial Revolution. This is apparently the first manufacturing novel, the first novel that's examining the industrial conditions of the day and saying, wow, this really sucks. Those is horrible things that we are doing to people, specifically young people in this thing. But she decides not. Frances Trollope says, I'm not going to do that because there are violent, foul people who have taken their anger and are trying to overthrow things violently. And that is just so horrible and terrible and reprehensible that I am thus just going to end this novel at like him, Michael Armstrong, at the age of 12. So it's like I want to help, but anybody um, who'd actually be so angry as to take up violent means, it so disturbs her that she won't do it, which is interesting. Interesting. I guess it's the I think she was someone who wanted to help, but also was very conservative at the same time. Did not want radicalism, and I mean we're still reeling probably at this point from the French Revolution happening in the last century, and various kind of radical uprisings, and how those were being savagely put down in England. So change, but British change, English change, which is minor and paternalistic and all that. Where I've read that. I read the preface, and I also read chapter one, which is all describing the Dowling family and Sir Matthew Dowling, who's very very rich. And I think we're about to find that there's some talk of a strike that Dr. Croker brings up at the party in this very hot summer. It's a super hot summer. It's like it's super hot summer, and there's the the boiling cauldron of this rest at the factory kind of thing. Oh, setting up the tension there. But yeah, this is mostly about Sir Matthew Dowling and his wife Lady Dowling, and their large family. They're going to call their son home from university because there's no point in, like, why would they want to have something so common as something that someone could just get by knowing how to read and write. It's like, well, then that's not really worth it because anyone could do that. We're upper people, so they're going to call him back after questioning poor new rector who has a Masters of Art. And it's like, does anyone actually call you Mr. Master of Arts? It's like, no one's ever done that. It's like, well, then I don't need to. It's not something that's going to do my son any good, so he can just come back. It's like, okay, yeah, lack of education there. Not that he was be getting, I don't know, education in the Victorian time is you would be getting all the classics, learning how to read ancient Greek and Latin, so all the dead languages, which has its joys. But if it's like what I'm reading about Anthony Trollope, you're also not learning any math or any science or anything like that. That would be common. That would as well be common stuff. So yeah, they're at this party. They hear about the strike, and there's also a Lady Clarissa there who isn't rich, isn't pretty, is actually 40 years old, but apparently has a great personality. And she dashes out the door in this hot, stifling thing onto the lawn, and Sir Matthew follows. And much to Lady Dowling's comfort, Lady Clarissa comes with a companion, Miss Mogg, who, in very kind of the fat shamey thing of the day, is fat and rotund and is a perfect foil to her her very slender mistress, but is also attaches herself and to go out, though she gets slightly trampled by Sir Matthew in his eagerness to follow Lady Clarissa. So that's where we are, and they're out. They've gone out into the lawn. That's where we have started. There's been a hint of one of the daughters being there's the older son, then there's three daughters. Two are like exactly like peas in a pod, and then there's one unnamed who is only like herself, just only like herself, which I think it's like, is this going to be the heroine of the novel? Because someone who is only like themselves is like we're pumping things up there at the beginning. So yeah, that is the start. It doesn't read quite as smoothly as Anthony Trollope, but yeah, you can see it's kind of it's starting to in a Victorian sense of galloping along. It's galloping along. First we have to lay out this whole scene. We're not starting with Michael Armstrong factory boy though. We're starting up here at the higher levels of society, because we wouldn't want to open with scene opens in a horrible factory where some poor little infant is getting beaten the shit out of by some sadistic overlord. And at some point, then Sir Matthew kind of stumbles in and is asking why the profits aren't, why they aren't cranking out the profits enough. We're not going to go from that angle because this is a conservative writer. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later.